Well, good evening. Welcome. How are we doing, boys?
Pretty good, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Excellent. You join us for another spotlight. We are looking this week on the Dick Dastardly. They've stepped up from the Squires this season, having won it previously. They're looking pretty strong at this stage. Just gone through the halfway point of the season, and they're up in fourth.
No, sixth.
In sixth. Just tied up with the Undermilkers, if I'm right.
Two points between third and sixth.
Tied up on 15 points. You're guaranteed not relegation now. That's been confirmed today,
Pretty
which is
emotional.
excellent news. But before we look at the fixture list or how the season's gone thus far, I want to bring it back to the grassroots of the club. How did you get into Expert? Where did it all begin?
Funnily enough, I got into Expert through, the amputees manager, Tpol. Sorry about that.
Okay. Understandable.
He got me into it because of you, obviously. You got him into it, and blah, blah, blah. That's how Expert works. Word of mouth, blah, blah, blah. And, I sucked for a long period of time. Although I did win my very first season in charge of the club.
But maybe a new victory.
Yeah, but then joining the Lords was a big step up. I remember Tom had a season with you guys and had been smashed all season long. Again, it's tough to start out in the Lords, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Particularly if you're taking on such a responsibility in quite a small, distance between you joining the whole game.
Oh yeah, and from where I was at the time in the game, I mean, as I said, I wasn't very good, and I'd only heard about the Lords, and when you hear like the Lords, it sounds like this sort of big league, and it is
ethereal.
But you know what I mean? Yeah, I was excited, but kind of a bit nervous at the same time. I didn't know anyone as well, really. I knew you and Tpol, but that doesn't really matter. But you know what I mean? At the same time, it's quite daunting. But luckily, obviously, my team was boosted, and I think I got the better rub of the green from
something that's been quite a
some
contentious
other people.
issue in the Lords.
Yeah.
Hosting. You want someone who has benefited. Do you have a view on how that's panned out?
Well, yeah, but 5 of my players who I got at the beginning, I still have now. And so that says a lot, doesn't it? When you guys have been building for quite a few years, but obviously, without that, I don't think I would have stayed. So at the same time, I can see why it was theirs, and it would have been a long process to get up to the level that you guys are at.
Oh yeah.
I would have had to have spent 3, 4, 5 seasons just either saving up money and then building that way, or based on where I was as a manager then, I would have just probably wasted all my money and then been in a pretty bad state of affairs as of today.
I would argue that enough time has passed now to say that boost or no boost, your team is sort of what you've made it. So, obviously it always helps.
You can kind of look as a retrospect view.
But ultimately, long term, whether you get a boost or you don't get a boost at the start, if you're good, if you do a good job with your team, they're going to get better and you're going to have a good team. You can have a boost and be a shit manager and your team's going to just get worse and worse and worse. So after 5 seasons, it doesn't matter. So I think enough time has passed now to the point where, it is a contentious issue, but I don't think it really affects your current standing.
Well, yeah, and obviously I know this goes without saying, but the standard of a manager I am now, I could have done a lot more with that team that I got, had I been a better manager. And people bringing in, because the team I have now, of all my teams, is actually my least favourite. I love it for the name, and I love it for what it stands for, but at the same time, it's not enough of me yet, in a weird sense.
Well, let's touch upon that then. As coming into the Expert game as a whole, before you've even touched the Lords, you've experienced it through maybe other people's eyes and word of mouth, and it's been a long learning curve, and as it is for everybody. And you can look back on that and really see how you developed. But how do you feel coming into the Dick Dastardly, previously known as an infamous name in the Lords?
Oh yeah.
In fact, maybe we shouldn't talk about it.
Well, yeah.
Well, you're the revived Dick Dastardly.
The revived, yeah. Basically, obviously, I kind of lost it at one point. The season went before the well-renowned league structure change that happened.
Yeah, quite a big moment.
It was a huge moment in development of such a prestigious league, bringing in the Squires, and the Squires was great for me. It allowed me to find my love for the Lords again, and it gave me a chance to really just find
reinvigorated your touch
reinvigorate,
in the game.
Yeah. Although I would have done things differently.
Well, looking at your club, what do you think your club stands for? What is its belief? What's the philosophy of the Dick Dastardly? How do you go about your?
Well, at the moment we're a bit of a dinosaur in a weird sense, in the sense of we're very old. We've got a lot of elders in our team. So our average age is above 26 now. I think it's at 27, but I've got a couple of 17s in there. So obviously that would bring it down. So I've got quite a few sort of ageing players, and I said 5 I've got 5 players going out at the end of the season, and that will tip the balance from experience towards youth, which is, that's so important. And across all my other teams, it's the youth's everything. So I want to become more of a sort of Southampton, I guess.
Okay.
So developing really talented
so really
youngsters,
focusing on
but
those
I want to hold on
youngsters,
to them.
and then eventually getting to that point where you can trade them off and look to go bigger and better.
Yeah, I can't compete yet, and even though like my skill going in, there was quite a lot of chatter about Dick Dastardly after the Squires season, because on paper we were one of only 3 teams with a 10 skill at the beginning, before the season started, before people bought in and whatnot. Although obviously that doesn't stand for everything. Looking at Bear Brats, I mean, he's still second strongest team, funnily enough.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But again, let's
bringing it back.
Let's keep it on the Dick Dastardly.
Even though the skill is, it says what my skill is, but that's based on certain players and a lot of age, as I said before. So it's dying. So that skill's dying. So I need to sort out my team now.
Okay.
And
so that attitude that you imbue with your team, that always looking for DV, maybe not even looking for DV, sorry, your focus is just your young average age, keeping that at a fresh rate.
Yeah, it's the balance. I mean, I'm not going to...
Do you think that's played into the last few seasons of your experience of the Lords, having it change to the Lords and Squires?
Well, it's funny because in the Squires, I probably took the wrong approach, and I decided I just wanted to get straight back up. And I know it sounds weird saying that, but I probably should have taken that as a chance to reinvigorate it then, bring in a lot more youth then, and spend a couple of years just on DV before I could start to compete. But I'm in an interesting situation now where I want to try and stay in the Lords and reinvigorate it, similar to what the amputees are doing.
Yeah, I'd argue you're in a better position now because you're guaranteed to be in the Lords next season. You can still reinvigorate and refurbish your team as you want.
As I said, next season will be a tough one.
Yeah, but I think you've got a good chance to stay up. I mean, it's not clear who's coming up from the other league
That's
yet.
exciting down there.
Well, I don't know. I don't pay attention. But whoever comes up, I mean, they'll definitely do a better job. Should be definitely stronger, more competitive than the bottom 2 currently are. But either way, I think you've still got a good chance of staying up again. And it's always good to be playing Lords football. So if you're doing that and working on your team, I think you're winning. So I think you're in a better position, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, I guess.
But I'm not interested in your opinion. I'm interested in his because that's who's the spotlight's on. So thank you.
Okay,
But
well, I'll just shut up then.
No, but yeah, I do agree. In theory, I'm in a better position, but I could have looking far forward, I could have been in a better position.
Okay.
Whereas in theory, I could have wasted a couple of years or a couple of seasons, not years, obviously. And that's.
Do you see that as part of the learning curve of being in the Lords and seeing that glimmer of glory, and that does hit it hits your inner soul where you're like, I could actually do this.
Yeah.
That can take over your mind sometimes.
Well, it's, as I said, right now, it's quite an exciting situation 'cause from 3rd to 6th, it's so tiny. In theory, imagine if I pulled off 3rd suddenly. That's such a feat, going from the Squires up to snatch 3rd, although it's a long way to go, but 3 home games out of 4, you know what I mean?
Yeah, very possible.
An easy game at the end of the season against the amputees.
Well,
so
let's twist our focus onto the current state of the Lords. With the way it's panning out, with Politi 6 points clear at the top, ahead of the Berkham Urquhart, who are, should be top there.
Yeah, they should. In
Either
different
way.
season, but
then dropping below there, 5 points ahead of them is the Berkham. Then it's the bottom 3rd till 6th.
Yeah.
All fighting 2-3 points difference.
2 points between 3rd and 6th. Yeah.
They're having very similar seasons. What do you see for the remaining fixtures in terms of your attitude to those games? Is there something that, obviously not to give anything away to a potential foe, but what's your approach internally? What is the club's attitude for those last 4 games? Where do you see the future going for it?
I'd say it's quite an interesting one because I can't really give away my intentions because I am going to be playing youth, but that's not to say I'm going to be playing youth against a particular team that I find...
DV's always a priority.
DV's a priority, but at the end of the day, I know out of my remaining fixtures, who I see as the tougher games, and I'll be focusing on them harder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say, obviously, who those teams are, so who knows. I've got a very good scenario going on with my 2 youth players. As I said, there's not enough youth in my team for my liking right now. I'm trying to emulate what I've done in other leagues. So I'm in very good state of affairs, and especially one team in particular where...
And I'm sure that gives you as much joy as a manager.
Yeah, well, that was where I really learned, and that's the team that I've been learning the most with.
Okay, so maybe the Dick Dastardly was almost a side project up until a point, and then
Yeah, up until recently, and now obviously I get very excited about it. Fridays are a great day for me. I've got my
Fridays are a
official
good
team,
day.
and I've got the Lords. So it's exciting times.
Exciting times.
Like-
Tpol, what do you want to know about the Dick Dastardly? What is it that entices your thought process about maybe their manager, their work rate? What is it that really gets you going about the Dick Dastardly?
What gets you wet?
Well, I don't know. I guess I was just wondering what your attitude was towards form and keeping training. Sort of, I guess the relevant really, as you said, DV is a big thing for you, so I guess it's important in that regard. But what's your attitude towards form and, trying to go for the result? How much does it influence your tactics, your attitude towards each sort of particular game?
Okay.
Is it a big thing for you or not?
Well, yeah, obviously, form's everything, really. But also being aware of what formations work based on not only the form amongst your players, but also
Taking in
based
all
on
different factors.
the different stats, your offensive, and defensive stats, etc., or your mid attack and defense rating. So, for example, when I picked up a result against the Burka, for example, at home, I used the
Tell us about that.
5-4-1 formation, which I had some great success with in a couple of trial games, actually. So you should take...
I read that formation.
Well, yeah, you did. No, you didn't against me. You did against Tpol.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So, excuse me.
Yeah. But I had 5 good defenders all on cracking form, and it just made sense. And also, I didn't think I was going to get much out of the game. I was playing for a draw.
As much as I would love to talk more about the Burka, I mean, I'd love it. It'd be great.
Yeah,
They
but
have their spotlight.
I'll-
Will they have their spotlight? Will it just be you talking to
I
yourself?
don't know. Let's not worry about that. I am fascinated by Tpol's point there, because it does imbue a lot of or rather, it says a lot about you as a manager. If you could place yourself on a spectrum of total DV or total win, like where does that form come into that spectrum?
Yeah, for sure. But then again, when you're looking at DV, you need your average form to be high anyway to reach the upper limits of DV. So again, they kind of go hand in hand to a degree. But to me, form's everything. Without it, you're not going to get anywhere. And that showed in my last game against the Bear Raps, because he dominated me. He bent me over and battered me. Problem is, again, because his form up front wasn't good. He created the chances, didn't put them away.
Who is your favourite opponent in the Lords that you play? Who do you really relish playing against?
Ooh.
It may be for the sheer result of the game, or it could be the tension. What
I guess-
what gets you wet? What gets you wet?
Yeah.
Who gets you wet, rather?
I like playing against you, to be honest. The Burka, I always see it as such a big challenge, because you're one of the vets of the league, and if you look at the all-time standings, you're up there.
With a season.
But I know
short.
you'll always come out with generally a 4-star minimum manager rating, things like that. So it's always quite interesting to try and read what you're going to do. And if you look at the sort of formations and things like that, I was reading into like you have like the sloth, the lion, the hyena, and the hawk.
Mm.
Have you heard about that?
No,
Yeah,
tell
I
me.
read that.
You've read that? Okay, so
Yeah.
the sloth is basically someone who plays like the same formation game after game, but they can be. Sometimes it can be a bad thing because they can always basically see what's coming.
But they're really good at that formation.
But they're really good at that one formation. Then you got the lion, who has a sort of pattern of 3 formations for home and away, which they tend to, and that's what majority of players generally tend to end up around there. Then you got the hyena, which I see you as kind of like a hyena. They're very erratic in their formations. Like they never play like the same 3 back to back sort of thing. As in, like it's
They're trying to throw people off.
they're trying to throw people off, and that's kind
Trying to
of
be
part of the
unpredictable.
fun with you. Although you're sort of mixed in that and the hawk. And the
What's
hawk
the hawk?
is basically someone who sees what's coming at all times, and everything he does is based on them, which is why I'd say you're a hawk as well.
Okay.
But at the same time, I know you pride yourself on mixing it up, and that's one of the quite fun things to do. If you manage to read you, which I haven't done many times, it's always sort of
It's an extra bonus.
it's extra and pride as well. It's like yes.
It has been nice taking points off the Burka this year, I must say.
Well, it
It's
wouldn't have
good.
happened if it wasn't for me, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I ended that
you
run.
played a hand in it. Thank you.
All
yeah, so-
all right, boys. Let's
I'd say
let's
for
keep on
me-
track, eh?
I
We're
used
talking
to
about the Dick
be...
Dastardly.
Yeah, when I first started, I was a sloth. 4-3-3.
Mm.
I fucking loved it. I would never go 4-3-3 away from home anymore, but back then it was like, yeah, whatever, offensive 4-3-3, let's do
Yeah,
it.
let's do it.
And then I became a lion, and I sort of had my home and
You
away
learned what could be
patterns.
effective away.
Yeah, and I veered far too much towards the 3-5-2.
So where do you see yourself now?
My biggest problem is I'm too much. It was probably a mixture between a lion and a hyena. I think I tried to mix my tactics up too much to the point where it was negative benefit to myself.
Okay.
I'd like to be a hawk, obviously.
Who wouldn't?
But who wouldn't? Yeah,
No.
exactly. They're sort of the top dogs.
Well, then on the flip side of that, who is it that you just don't want to see you're playing against? Is there?
It's funny, it's Dream Team.
Is
They
it?
get me every fucking time. Like, they beat me 3-0 at home.
polarity.
It's the only loss I've had at home. I've won 3, lost 1 at home this season. And that one I got battered 3-0 by the Dream Team. And it's like, I don't even know what
The
happened.
most uninspiring team.
It's just
They
like,
have their moments.
they-
Though.
they
On
just-
their day, they fucking.
they're
power
my
out.
nightmare opponents.
Yeah.
They messed me up and I've got him away from home still to go. That's my one away game, so I'm like shitting myself.
Is that
for
next game?
No, I've got Bilbao next, so...
Wow. Okay.
Easy points.
Well, hopefully.
Nah,
Although,
come on, easy.
who'd you take a point off? That was Bear Braps, wasn't it?
Yeah, you got
1 point, yeah. But yeah, no, it should be.
Disgraceful either
Okay.
way.
Interesting.
And that should hopefully lead me into... I think I've got that, then I've got the away game, then 2 home games against tough opponents. I've got Udders and...
You got
and Politi.
a fixture list to.
Well,
go
the
through
Udders
there.
game should be a sellout. I mean, it should still be
I've
tight
got
at
my
that point.
ticket.
So,
I'm
yeah.
sacking off my match to go watch yours. So.
I don't blame you,
Dual
mate.
screen that bad boy.
Just get your assistant manager in charge.
You'll be alright.
Julio. Julio, hey!
Well, let's take a glance into the future then. Where do you see yourself in 5 seasons' time?
Hopefully a much younger team, but I predicting I'm going to have a few tasty players coming through.
Okay.
So I've got 2 youngsters on
All form, all
very
DV.
hot.
I like it.
very hot TV right now.
What do you see in terms of merit and accolade? Do you see yourself maybe picking up a few things here and there?
If I was to pick up anything, and again, in the Lords, literally anything can happen sometimes, it feels like. It's only a few players manage to maintain a consistent sort of standing. And again, with me, I'm still a noob in this league. But, you know, I think if I was going to pick up anything, it would be in the Cup, but then the Cup scare me because of the form, basically.
Scare me.
No, just because of form, again, it's like you should never really play more than 1 friendly before a season, because of the negative impacts it can have on your career.
And what sort of time frame are you looking to win your first piece of silverware? Like, would you like to win the next 3 seasons, 5 seasons?
I
10
think
seasons?
you're looking at more like 6, 7.
No, what would you like though?
Yeah, what's the ideal
I'd like
situation?
to win the next season, but it's not going to happen. I'm realistic at the end of the day.
Well, where would you find if we had that spectrum of idealism and realism? Whereabouts do you land in terms of predicting a season that you're going to take the time?
I'm a very realistic person. I predicted before the season I'd finish 6th. I'm currently sitting in 6th. And people were saying, "Why you should go for a cup? You should go for a league run." It's not like I didn't go for a league run. It's just
And I suppose having that guarantee of non-relegation now, you kind of can have that push for DV. You can see how far you can get up the table.
exactly. And I would like to get a little bit of extra money in by finishing higher, obviously, because I know it's not that much, but at the same time, every little helps, doesn't it?
Mhm.
I mean, I'm so focused now on getting my press statements out as well, just because that's a form training right there. And over the season, that's, you know, you're looking at,
It works out.
what's it, 14
I need to do one this week.
form trainings through the press statements. So every little helps, but I just hope the league stays alive, looking for where I'm basing my progress on. I know, obviously, Bilbao, although he's quit a couple of times, hasn't he?
Mhm.
But at least he's sort of
4.
looking 4 times. Okay, but this, you know, I can tell he's sort of looking ahead now, isn't he? He's changed his
There's
way.
been- yeah,
He-
it-
he's-
the
Because
at
the
least
Squires
been
is
turned,
there.
at
The
least been
Squires
turned.
is there
the
now.
squad's rejuvenated a lot.
Mm.
I say I feel sorry for the window lickers. They've had a terrible end to the season so far. They were way out
I
in
wouldn't
front.
know, mate. I'm
but-
like Tpol. I just I've got a clue what's going on.
I looked
It's amazing how irrelevant it is.
I looked earlier on today. I was just like, you know, I've got good memories. I'm the current victor, you know.
Yeah,
You've got-
I guess, yeah.
I've got
that's
to make
all
my
like-
appearance.
yeah.
I'm going to be
I
handing
can
the
empathise.
fucking trophy.
I was there once. You know.
I'm going to be handing the trophy over.
He has got a trophy in his cabinet right now, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Or is it a
I mean,
medal? You got a medal for Squires?
It's like a plate or some shit.
yeah, some sort of it's sitting in the bottom cupboard
Yeah,
right now.
it's
You know what I mean?
collecting
I
dust,
said
isn't it?
I'm actually the squire who climbed through shit and came out clean on the other end. You know what I mean? Like that is
you
me.
are Shawshank.
Yeah, exactly. That is me. And I don't want to go back there. As I said, after the first 3 games, 0 points. I was like, am I a squire in disguise? Link to press statement right there.
Cheeky.
Go read it. It's pretty hot. It's really not. But,
It's really hot. It's really not.
yeah. But yeah, no, it's exciting time for Dick Dastardly. I want people to go into a game at the end of it and go, oh, these fucking dicks. Fucking dicks. You know what I mean? Like, what a cunt.
Who is, if you look across the whole board, even if that might include squires because you spent some time there, who is your favourite player?
What, a single player?
Single player
Like
in the
fiction-
whole in the
yeah.
Lords. Who is
Well-
your favourite player
What, of my team or just all round?
as a manager?
Well, to be honest, everyone loves a bit of Peter Petrelli, don't they? Everyone wants to get on
I
that.
can't believe he literally threw the fish hook
Yeah,
out there,
what is-
and you just went up and grabbed it.
What else is there to say?
I can't believe it.
What
You
else
just
is there to
answered that.
say?
To be fair, like
He's
He's literally my
hot
most
property right
hated
now.
player in the Lords. I can't, you know.
Oh, but I'm talking purely on skill basis. I'm not talking about like how much I like them.
But that's what he asked
yeah, that's
you.
what I'm trying to touch upon.
Oh, okay,
is
I
as
thought you meant just your favourite player, as in like
maybe not
just
the person.
skill and everything. Like, you know when you say, like, you look at a league and you go, what's your favourite player? And you say the player.
Well, I
that's,
suppose it's how you determine
inspired
favourite.
you.
Do you see?
I can tell you my favourite player. Hands
Well, I'm
down.
not interested in your opinion.
Um,
what I'm trying to get into is what is you when you look at the Lords as a whole, as a manager, not so much biased towards your team, just looking at it as a whole. Who do you see as not the player you want the most or you value the most? Who do you just have that spark?
Oh, as far as liking, I have no like towards anyone else's players, just because I don't give a shit about them. They're none of my. I don't care unless I'm tightly marking them. Fuck them. But obviously, Nikic, he's like the rock of my team. Well, he's getting on now. He's got a couple more seasons, but
Yeah.
he's my best player, and he's sort of. Although I never, well, I was about to say something that could give something away actually, but I'll say it anyway. Fuck it. I never play him as my playmaker, even though he's my best player. But
Okay. I like that. I
It
like
could
that.
be a double bluff. So
Well,
Who
yeah,
knows?
exactly.
Yeah.
They don't-
You could be
they
playing
don't-
all for fools.
But I really like Rendulic as well, and Vlahovic is great as well. But my midfield players, again, they were the ones I got at the beginning.
They
So
warm
I've
your
had
heart.
the most time with them. They're club legends, so they've got the. I'd never had a gold heart before.
There you go.
So-
That's always a fun moment.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit like, I got
When
these
did you
boys.
get those gold hearts?
I got
This
5
season?
gold hearts now. Yeah,
This
this season. Yeah.
It's impressive.
Well, it's those 5 have been sort of rock. They've sort of hung about.
They're your rock, your sword, your shield.
Exactly.
His wheel in the middle of a wheel.
Although not my sword. That's Kieran McDrain and Tom Tevnik. They've been. Although just putting it out there, Tevnik's leaving at the end of the season.
Was he really?
Yeah, he's only 29, but he's off. He'll be 30.
He's doing a Vidic.
I could pop a bit of money. You know what I mean?
And I don't mean to go on about Peter Petrelli, but
Yeah, you do.
I have to ask a question, and that's how can you hate such a player?
It's not just hate him, I just have disdain for him. You know, I think, and mainly down to the amount that you love him. I think it's the reason I'm
Yeah,
not.
true. You do.
You know, he is
Yeah.
like your sort of bastard son that your love child.
He's my Jon Snow.
Yeah, exactly. That you just, it's a bit weird.
You got
But-
some personal affection towards. Yeah.
And I know what his DV is as well, so. That
Oh,
doesn't-
what?
I'm not
yeah.
keeping that a secret neither.
That doesn't make me like him anymore, so.
No, it wouldn't, would it? It's pretty disgusting. You
Yeah.
filthy animal.
So, yeah.
Just to sum up, could you think of 3 words that resonate within you about your club?
Determined. Okay, that's number 1. It's quite tricky, actually. Exciting, not based on the current roster, but what's going to be coming out of them. They will be an exciting team. And two-faced, in the sense that they've got like strong elements of Squire in there, but at the same time, they're very much Lords.
Thank you.
Lords in the making. They're aware of. They're humble. They know where they came from, and that helped because I'm a lot more realistic because of it. So
Hey, excellent.
There you
I think that's great. Well, thank you for your time, lads. If there's any more topics to cover, I feel that they haven't been uncovered, quite frankly.
Well,
we've gone through the whole lot there.
I could
And,
fucking wait if they're happy.
well, it's very rude, isn't he? This amputees manager. I mean,
That's okay.
When you're 9 wins out of 10, you can talk like you like. So.
well,
Well, it's not your spotlight, mate.
no one wants to beat you. So.
But again, thank you for the evening, and I will speak to you soon.
All right. Well, I love you.
Bye.